you mean? 11.
Friends don't lie.
Stop it! You're freaking her out! She's freaking me out! The upside down.
Do you understand what he's talking about?
No. I found the chocolate bunny!
Oh God, please tell me it's not the kid.
I need to die!
Warnings are for coffee and contemplation.
Holy shit.
Welcome back. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, the unofficial podcast of Stranger Things. And we are excited and tired.
So excited.
It is 4 a.m. We have stayed up all day to catch the Eastern Time Zone debut of Season 2 of Stranger Things, and we've just watched it. I'd say about 6 minutes ago we probably finished it.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
We didn't burn through every episode yet.
Just to be clear.
We went through all of it, guys. It's great. You're not going to believe what happens. A lot of twists and turns. Oh my gosh.
It is crazy up in Hawkins. So this is episode 1, MADMAX. And just a quick thing, if you never listened to the show before, we have recapped and dived very deep. I'm talking plunged just incredible depths into season 1 on each episode. A lot of those episodes are longer than the show episodes themselves, which is pure insanity. That's how much we love this show. So if you want to join us for that kind of depth, if you're ready for that, keep listening. It's wonderful. So yeah, do that.
It'll be worth your time.
So this is episode 1, MADMAX of season 2, and Netflix describes it thusly. As the town preps for Halloween, a high-scoring rival shakes things up at the arcade, and a skeptical Hopper inspects a field of rotting pumpkins.
It almost sounds like Hopper's skeptical, like, oh, I don't believe these high scores this person's getting at the arcade. I better look into this at the pumpkin patch. That's where the answers are.
Yeah, I feel like the guy who does the synopses is a little bit high sometimes. We found that out last season. So what did you guys think? Overall thoughts real quick, because, you know, I like to do a step-by-step, overly detailed recap. So before we get there, just quick overall thoughts, spoiler-free. Oh, let's warn the audience about this, how we do things. We're about to spoil the shit out of this. Mm-hmm. So you better have watched it.
Yes. You're supposed to watch the episode first, then come to us for
Normally
analysis.
That's obvious, but I just want to make clear in today's spoiler-averse culture. And in fact, it's best if you watch the episode right before for just the full experience.
Yeah.
Anywho.
We may have new listeners because of the season 2 dropping, so if you are new, welcome. Why the fuck weren't you listening earlier? I'm kidding.
He's not. Subscribe, rate, and review. Andy, initial thoughts?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, I've been so hyped about this for a year, and it actually lived up to the hype, you know, at least this first episode did. I was just sitting there grinning the whole time, like, yay, they're back.
As tired as we were, I was on tea, which is, I'm not a tea guy, but it helped a little bit. Steve, what about your initial thoughts?
Same as Andy. I really loved the episode. It felt like Stranger Things. It didn't feel like anything was missing, but at the same time, it took me places I wasn't expecting right off the bat, even with the first episode. It shook things up, but kept things the same. It was that perfect mixture.
I don't know that it was Stranger, though. Like, I think they need to change the name, just call it Par for the Course at this point. It's just excellence.
Well, Stranger Things 2.
Above expectation things.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, I was disgusted at how much I loved it. Shyamalan Dew.
What a twist.
No, I think Steve's totally right. They very clearly hit a lot of the same beats in a nostalgic way, kind of in a meta, paying homage to itself sort of way, which is always really difficult with a sequel. I think there's a very hard balance to strike because people are very picky. They want a different, newer, better version of the same thing. If you go too different, fuck you. You don't respect us, the fan base. You don't know what we like. You just totally lost in what was great about your property. But if you stick too much to the same, they're like, uncreative. Same old egos. Here we go. So very, very good balance that they struck. So the episode opens very strong with some masked burglars in a van. Very Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine-esque van.
In Pittsburgh.
It looked nothing like that, actually. Yes.
Was it Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 1984. What did they rob? A bank? Was that?
Yeah, it looked like it.
Okay, a little bank robbery, and a car chase ensued with full 80s police cruisers in pursuit. They took their masks off, and they were like teenagers. They were kids, right? Am I wrong?
No, some of them. There's
Couple of them
definitely
were
like a
older,
middle-aged dude. One guy looked like in his late 20s, the Mohawk guy.
Yeah, I mean, there was a really ugly teeth guy. But
One
I felt
looked
like
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
the girl, who was very important, we'll talk about that in a sec, who looked like MIA. You know, all I want to do is pew, pew, take your money. That thing.
Oh, that song.
Are those the lyrics?
Yeah, for sure.
All I want to do is pew pew, take your money.
With the and the bling, take it. Yeah, you know.
I know what you're talking
Just
about.
edit that song in right there, and it'll be better. Yeah, she looked pretty young to me. I don't know. Was I wrong? Early 20s. I mean, in
Yeah.
the 20s. That's
Yeah, I
kids
would
to
say
us.
ironically, the driver seemed to be the youngest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, pass those temps, you know.
Yeah.
To the passenger seat, as long as they're licensed, it's legal. So, which
Right.
was what they're concerned about at this point.
I believe in the 80s, the age for driver's license was like 9.
Yeah. Or 11 or 8, and more importantly. So, Andy, congratulations. Your most inquisitory dive into our season 2 predictions rang true. So, they're pursuing this van, and what does he say? Maureen? Do something?
The girl's name's Callie.
Okay. Way off.
Maureen's the driver.
Oh, okay.
Callie is the girl.
That had the thing.
Yeah, that has the power. Yeah.
Yeah. The Indian pop star?
Yes.
Okay.
MIA is Callie.
So, so the van's driving into a tunnel, and they look like they have a plan. He says, Maureen, do something, which is not the one who does something. So, Callie, she scrunches up her fist, and she seems to have some psionic powers, as Murray Bauman would say. So, the tunnel collapses, and the cops can't pursue, but then the partner cop in the passenger seat, he's like, Bill, what the hell are you doing? I don't know if his name was Bill. And then we find out from a tattoo on her arm that she is number 8.
Number 8.
We don't know yet what happened to 9 and 10 or 1 through 7.
And the tunnel didn't actually collapse. It appears as though she put that vision in the first police car driver's head, which made him swerve and cause a wreck with the other ones behind him.
Which is very strange. So we have some new questions already. Is this 8 figure only capable of
Psychic projections?
illusions? Right.
Yeah.
Sort of like, isn't there an X-Men that does that?
I know Jean Grey could do that.
Is the one
Professor
that,
X could do
remember? Yeah, there's in X2, they kidnap the little boy in the wheelchair, the man in the wheelchair that can do that power.
Oh, yeah, and he's got like the cross-colored eyes.
To project the visions into Charles so that he could use the,
Yeah, he's Brian Cox's kid.
Yes, Brian Cox's kid. Anywho,
forgot
we
about that.
digress. We do that. Just nerd alert all over the place. Just splurging nerds. That was this
Nerds, but they're just...
little semen imagery there. So there's a number 8. Yeah, and we don't know if she can physically do things like 11. And she doesn't look to be. We got an evil 11.
Yep.
Maybe not evil, but definitely a more anti-hero, possibly type of...
I mean, she's robbing
Yeah.
banks.
Yeah.
Unless she's like feeding
Maybe-
orphans with
but
that
maybe-
money, then
But she,
I
didn't
call her
hurt, she
evil.
didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Andy, I would argue the banks have it coming.
That's the man.
That's the man.
Some hell or
man.
high water shit right here, bro. Get woke.
Oh, fuck.
God, Andy's off. You're done.
I'm just late. I'm sleepy.
So then we cut to Dustin's mom, who I don't believe we've ever seen before.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, she looks kind of like a poltergeist, like, don't go towards the light. Kind of like, not that bad, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then,
In like 30 years, she'll be there.
yeah, she calls him Dusty, which I don't think we've heard that either.
Dusty.
And Dustin's frantically looking for change in the couch, but all he can find is a couple pennies and 4 quarters. And we don't know why yet. So then we cut to Lucas in a hilarious exchange. I don't even think the exchange rate matches for the 80s, but maybe it does. So he's like, I got 4 quarters. And Lucas is like, I've got 4 times that. And I did some quick math. And it's $14. So, no, just kidding. It's $5, right? Am I wrong? like 5 times that. It's did
Yeah,
he say 5 or something.
Yeah, he said he had 5 times that. $5.
Yeah, so he's got $5, and he's like, "How'd you get $5, Lucas? What have you done?" And at first, I thought maybe he was in on that bank robbery. You know, he's got 20 quarters.
Oh, I know a girl.
So then he's like, "While you were sitting on your ass talking to your mommy, I was
Playing with Muse.
old man Humphrey. I mowed his lawn." I'm like, "He gave you fucking $5 in change? How small is this lawn?" But I guess that's what you got back in the 80s.
Hey, yeah. You know?
And then Mike, we find out, is a thief. So Andy's casting judgments on Callie over here, and Mike is also a thief.
I love the different approaches that the kids take to get quarters. Like Dustin's ripping the shit out of his house. Like, I need quarters.
His whiny mom looks on.
Yeah. Lucas clearly had a plan. He went out and, he earned his money. He's very logical. He's pragmatic. And then Mike's just like, oh, I forgot about the whole thing. He's Nancy. and he steals Nancy's money out of her piggy bank.
Just steals his sister's piggy bank.
2 bank robberies in the first 5 minutes of this shit.
Yeah, they're starting off with a bang.
They're already like pointing us in the direction that there's a lot to have in common between these characters.
Ooh, there you go. Deep dive that. So yeah, we find out later they're trying to get money to go to the arcade. But we got to pause for a second and talk about Nancy's hair. What do you guys think? She got it did up. It's okay, Andy. Thank you. Thinking more of a commentary.
It's shorter,
less factual.
It's brown.
Thanks, Mr. Clark.
I love it.
The length is lessened due to a cutting. I like it. I think it's good. Suits her.
Yeah.
I like it too.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot to say about Nancy's hair. That was a good idea. Thanks, Chris. Moving on.
I don't want to comment further to not sound like a creep.
So you really like it, Steve? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying I like girls with short hair.
Okay. She looks very pretty. I'm not afraid to say it. Everybody knows I'm a creep. Nancy just went from a 10 to an 11.
Oh.
Yeah, a little reference there. How you like that?
Just a little reference. It's a pretty deep dive. Don't know if you guys will get it.
Probably went over your head.
Remember her? 11?
So then we cut to the arcade. And I did make mention of Winona's hair as well. Or does it cut to the arcade? Does it cut to a... No, Joyce dropping Will off at said arcade. Winona's hair, also different. Andy, what'd you think? This worked out so well.
What was the length of the hair, Andy? Give us an update on that.
Andy just gets longer. Yes, Joyce's hair was longer. We talked about that in the season 2 preview, though, so that's old news.
I do like how Joyce is like, now, Will, do not ride your bike or walk home. You call me because you cannot be trusted.
And this is a year later, so she says this every time he goes anywhere, is what we can assume, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So remember, Will, don't just do pretty much anything. Just stay with lots of crowds of people, but live life, be normal. Try to forget that. But seriously, you're going to get kidnapped again, so...
I mean, I think it's okay.
I don't judge her
it's
for being
natural. Yeah,
overprotective.
I would probably do the same thing if I were in Joyce's position. I would probably not let my kid go outside. Like, don't look out the windows. You're not even allowed to do that.
Just constant tornado rules.
Just here, build some Legos in the closet.
Yeah, be 7 again.
Yeah.
Just standing over his shoulder at the arcade, like, oh, good one, honey. Yeah, get him.
You dig that, Doug.
So old Dusty's trying to beat the high score on Dragon's Lair, but he's running out of quarters. He can't quite do it. It's Lucas that holds the high score, right? Because Lucas is kind of gloaty in the background, I feel like.
I don't know if it showed the score, but yeah, he definitely gives the impression that Lucas, that's his game. He wrecks shop on Dragon's Lair.
And then old Keith walks up eating cheese puffs.
Was that his name?
Yeah, we had it on the subtitles, and I saw Keith. Yeah.
Oh, there you
so
go.
that's what's good about subtitles. So Keith walks up, which is, just so you know, some deep knowledge here. That is the one of the ride operators in Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
Okay.
talking
Yeah,
about?
he's the guy who's like, I'm sorry, guys, I just work here.
Man, please calm down. Yeah. That's him. So Keith's in there munching on some cheese puffs, and he informs them that their high score on Dig Dug has been beaten by a mystery entity.
He's all gloaty about it, too. I love that.
He's just I'm like 38. It's really weird. I don't know why he's there, but he's like 7 feet tall.
I think he works there.
He's 7 feet tall.
Because he had the arcade logo shirt on, I think, and they said
you were
something
reading?
like, yeah. I think they also said something like, "What do you make?" I think Dustin says like, "What do you make like $3 an hour? Why are you even here?"
Oh, okay.
They make some like snide comment that the man's working.
I just love that he.
But he's still kind of creepy.
Cheetos.
He's still creepy because doesn't he try to solicit
Yes.
Mike for a date with Nancy.
Mike's like, I'm not prostituting my sister. So they're trying to pry this guy for information about who is Mad Max, the titular character, Mad Max. Who is this? We got to find out who beat our score.
It's Mel Gibson, you nerds.
Duh. So moving on, we get a little flashback from Will. So while they're arguing with Keith, Will starts to sense something's wrong in the Force and walks slowly towards the outside, and he gets well, we don't know what it is. Is this a flashback of the Upside Down? More questions, right? So now we don't know who 8 is and what they can do. Are his visions real in some way? Is he just having PTSD? Is the Upside Down merging with the right side up? We don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think that it's definitely, actually happening, whatever it is. We wouldn't have much of a plot otherwise. But I love the setup for it. You know what I mean? He just sort of like glances outside, sees a little bit of dandruff floating around. He's like, you guys see that? You guys? And then he turns and like the whole arcade's empty. And then it like flashes to the upside down version of the arcade and all the cabinets are all infected looking and the screen's flashing, and he steps outside and it's all fucked up and the sky looks amazing and it's the stormy shit. Have you ever seen an arcade with an enormous sign like that that's spinning and stuff?
No.
Like,
Yes.
Arcade. Like, also, where the fuck was that arcade last season? Did they just build that in the meantime? Hawkins is pretty small.
It looked
I feel
like they drove
they-
a little bit out of town for that one.
I think it
think
might
so?
be 2 miles away from Steve's house. So we didn't get to see it last
Slightly
season.
off the 8x11 map.
Yeah.
I did see an arcade sign like that. It was in Toy Story.
What about
Pizza-
real life?
Pizza Planet.
Pizza Planet.
What about real life?
No, never in IRL, Steve.
It doesn't get more real than Toy Story.
I
Steve.
love the CG. I'm very impressed with the integration there on this season. You can tell the budget went up a little bit, even though they had less time for post-production, presumably. I'm very impressed so far.
Yeah, you can tell a lot, like just by the properties that they reference. And we'll get to the Easter egg,
Sure.
but just the sheer amount of properties and songs
Yeah,
that they
the
reference
Eggos
in
were
this
off the chain.
episode alone is
Yes.
indicative of a larger budget.
I wonder how they shot that, because they had to take, Will's going to continue to do this, we can assume, as far as his like flashbacks or seeing deeper into what's really going on or whatever's going on there. They have to take every location that in which he does that and shoot it normally, and then shoot the upside down version, which is obviously a complete different set design and lighting and just crazy amount of stuff. And I wonder if they shot all the upside down stuff at the same, probably not, but you know what I mean, on the same soundstage.
Oh, yeah,
just
like-
rebuilt everything upside down version. And
I imagine they could have. They just, paint over it with that's how they do digital stuff, right? They just paint it,
yeah, it's literally just one brush, one coat, all done.
Yeah,
as soon as it dries.
You just get into DaVinci Resolve and you change the color scheme. There you go.
You just go to Home Depot. But I need about two gallons upside down, please.
Oh, we're all out of that because it's Halloween. Duh. Then we see Hopper. Oh, Hop! I was so glad to see Hop, and this is where I think they walk that fine line, because he comes in and he's in full coffee and contemplation mode, and I was a little disappointed at first. Let me tell you why. Anybody wonder why? Ask me why.
Why?
Because I felt like there wasn't enough growth of his character from the last season. I mean, he had gone through a hell of a lot of things, grieving Sarah and rescuing Will. And even though Joyce and he clearly didn't, make it very far from their relationship, I just felt like we deserved a bit more growth from his character, other than in the exact same spot we saw him the first time. But you can tell that there's some fan service there, right?
Yeah.
The sociopath cops and Flo and the same old beats where she's trying to replace the cookie with the apple and rip the cigarette out of his mouth. And I don't know. But then later I was like, well, I mean, it's not going to change every bit of who he is. And he still seems a little bit happier. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I read that more of he's playing a part. Like
That's now true.
Yeah, he's pretending to be back to normal, his normal self, because he's got the secret life now,
Right.
Where he's doing stuff with Hawkins' lab, he's doing stuff with another character that we'll go to later on. Definitely, he's trying to keep a public appearance that the town will know him as, but then he's secretly on the DL, doing more Hopper-like things. What did you think, Andy?
And then, well, I mean, at least they didn't introduce him passed out on the couch overdosed on Xanax
Very
and
true.
with a bunch of beer. You know, I mean, like as far as like his personality maybe hadn't changed,
But it looked like they had
his
just
habits.
skipped that scene.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise,
good
pretty
reasons.
much the same.
No, you're right. I think you guys are very much onto something, that he was just kind of playing the part, because he can't come in all, lost 30 pounds and shaved. And like, what's up with Hop?
I'm working out. I'm going to be in Hellboy later this year.
I did write. You want to know my one note for that scene was?
What?
The sociopath
He
cop
grew a
has
mustache.
a mustache. He has somehow become even worse.
He's super creepy now. Now I'm giving out mustache rides after I kill people.
He looks like Joaquin Phoenix and Her now. It's like,
Yeah. But somehow more creepy.
yeah, definitely.
Even like by the end of the movie.
Hey, Chief, you want to see the dead bodies? Hey, Chief, how's it going?
So then we get this gentleman who I later found out his name was Murray Bauman. Do some slick sleuthing with Barb's parents. He seems to be some sort of investigative journalist, I suppose, who's looking into the Russian psionic woman.
He's from the Chicago Sun-Times, right?
That's a big deal.
He's very famous. He's well known.
So I didn't know that journalists were like freelance detectives now.
Well, I'm getting the impression that he was a journalist because they mentioned that he's freelance now. I think he probably lost his job at the Chicago Sun
For being a
Times
kook?
for being a kook.
What did they do? They hint that everybody hints that he wrote about aliens and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so now he thinks that 11 is Russian and that she's a Russian weapon spy thing that's in Hawkins. So there's a Russian invasion beginning in Hawkins, Indiana, and he's going to get to the bottom of it. And Hop, I think for his own safety and to protect 11, decides to listen to him and see what he's got, and then decides nothing.
I feel like he's listened to this guy quite a lot because even when he first came into the police station, he's like, "Get away from me! Get away from me!
Right.
Get away from me!"
Yeah. Coffee and content. You're the new flow, bro. Get out of here. So then Hop takes the first opportunity to answer the phone call about the Merrill's pumpkin patch that needs looked into, which normally is the kind of thing that Hop would be like, seriously, Flo? We've talked at great length about this. But he's like, sweet, gotta go. It's an emergency.
Yeah, I love that.
Which is pretty funny. And he takes off. And then we cut to my man Steve.
Yeah.
His hair is two-ear.
Two-ear.
Steve-ear. Everything's better in two. He's apparently working on some kind of college application essay that Nancy's not a fan of.
Poor little homie can't write.
She gave him a D.
She's trying to help him out.
He gave her the D. And he's just giving it right back. So I didn't think his essay sounded that bad. Just a little bit of mixed metaphor action. You know? Might still be able to get into a nice local Hawkins college with that.
It's like, it's an allegory, Nancy. Come on.
It's like, what does that have to do with your grandpa's war?
Basketball
Well, they
and
both won.
World War I.
And I think that was her point. It was like, you're equating the game with the World War. Yeah, we both won. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Grandpa just sits on the couch all day and says, "Winner."
Charlie Sheen plays his grandpa.
Yeah.
Did you?
Actually, Charlie Sheen
That
would
would be
actually kind of
believable.
fit.
That would be super believable.
kinda fit.
He's totally Steve's grandpa. So
Steve,
then
you ever use tiger's blood?
we get MADMAX and her older brother pull up in the, what was it, a Firebird, Thunderbird, Camaro? I'm not a car guy.
It was a cool
It's a
car.
muscle car.
Badass car.
It goes brim, brim. I know that. Everybody's really impressed. He
It
gets
twixt
out.
all the ladies' nethers. That's what it did.
Gets out in full denim, just with buns of steel and a really bedheady mullet, I felt.
Yeah.
But I guess in the 80s, that was hot.
And a pedo stash.
That bedheady mullet. Girl.
You skipped over an important thing, though.
What did I skip?
Steve used the L word.
I know, that's true.
And it wasn't lesbians.
That's a different show. I love you, Nancy. That's right. He offers to work at his dad's job, which sounds awful, and get good insurance and other adult stuff so he can stay back for Nancy's senior year, which is adorable. But I've lived too much real life for me to have fully enjoyed that scene. And I'm like, dude, you're going to give up on college, stay in Hawkins, get a job at your dad's. She's going to fucking blow Jonathan in like
episode
6 months.
3.
You know what I mean? Like, this is some harsh real life right there. Not that she's a bad person. It's just things happen.
The mature, responsible side of you that has lived a life came out, we were like, boy, come on.
Yeah, go
think
to college.
it through, man.
Plenty of fish in the sea. Don't make me Ted your ass right
Because
now.
all teenage kids do that.
Yes.
Where one is older and faces the choice of going away to college. All of them do that thing. Like, well, what if I stay and I'll be with you and I don't want to leave you.
I kind of did that. I went to a local college, but I still dated a girl in high school. She was a senior when so I was 1 year above her. And I would go back to high school like a couple of times a week to visit her. And like a lot of the teachers loved me because I was a nerd. So I would sit in on the classes. And I remember one of my favorite teachers, Miss Davis, who's fucking awesome. She was overly honest. It was like 4 weeks into the new high school year, and I'm in college. I'm still coming back to high school every day. Like, what's up, guys? High five. Just kind of check on my girl. Life's so weird now. And she's like, stop coming here. And I was like, am I not allowed? She's like, you're allowed, but it's pathetic. It's just go live your life. It's over. And I was like, ow. Anyway, I don't want that for you, Steve. I don't want that for you. So then we cut to little Will, who I don't remember him looking so bowl cutty Beatlesy, but I guess he always did. And he opens his locker and he's got a zombie boy picture.
He didn't have a lot of screen time in season one. I'm not sure that we ever got a really good look at him.
I felt like he swooped it or something, and now it's just like straight bangs.
In the later episodes, his hair was more like stringy.
He was very dehydrated.
But I think in the first episode, he did have that like kind of bowl.
This is what he looks like fresh.
Yeah.
I like the stringy.
It's a good look. It's a good look.
You need to,
How mean is that though? Like, kid goes missing for a week.
Kids are
comes
mean.
back, and then it's probably Troy. He's probably like, fucking dumb kid. suck it, buyers.
Yeah, well, he knows the Pee Pants girl's not around as far as he knows. So, yeah, so he finds a little zombie boy picture in his locker. So they're picking on him for having been kidnapped.
I'm glad that they acknowledge it at least, though, because, I mean, like, when a kid, if something as extraordinary as what happened in season one were to happen, people aren't just going to be like, oh, cool, he's back.
Sure.
And then just
he'd be
go
a
about their
pariah. There'd be
lives.
so many rumors, like, what happened to him?
Jessica Hayes cried at the funeral.
He was in sociopath cop's mustache house for like 3 weeks, Who knows what went on? Oh, I know what went on.
How did he escape? Oh, they were in on it.
I guess that's a good way to remind the audience that they did fake Will's death, and he didn't actually die in season one.
Yeah, how do they?
Oh, yeah. That's
So
a good
many
point.
unanswered
so
questions
many people
about
went to that funeral.
Because they promised not to, involve Hawkins' lab in any of the explanations, and I assume they didn't involve anything supernatural. So what the fuck did they say about Will's back?
I'm waiting for someone to screen grab that, because there's that one shot of a paper clipping that says, zombie Will. I'm waiting for someone to magnify that photo and actually read the article.
Yeah.
I know who can do that, Steve.
Andy.
We should do that. We are in the vanguard of season 2 criticism right now.
Tip of the spear.
Tip of the spear, not anything else. No tips. Okay, then we cut to Mr. Clark, everybody's favorite science teacher.
Drum roll.
Wonderful little re-intro from him. Dustin, drum roll, please. He's
that
such a
guy.
dweeb. I love him to death.
Mr. Clark can get it.
Max-
He can get it.
All the way from the sandy beaches of California, Maxine. My name's Max.
The lights drop and a spotlight hits. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the current version.
I just love the idea of a teacher shows up to work one day, and in the beginning of the day, the principal says, hey, we're getting a new kid today. Here's some information about him. And Mr. Clark's like, oh, I'm going to make this bitch feel welcome. This kid's going to feel
wonderful.
so welcome.
Maxine. Oh, okay. I love that we got the first glimpse that not everyone appreciates Mr. Clark as much as we do and the boys do. Because if you scan over the rest of that classroom, there's some dead eyes going on
They're
there.
like passing notes. The one chick with the little wish opener.
Oh, that was
thing,
the best.
That was awesome.
I remember those things in school.
Yeah, totally.
I never figured out how to make one.
Pick a color.
Now pick a number.
You're a bitch.
They all just say you're a bitch.
Mine did. Did your guys' not?
I love those
They
things.
got me. So then we meet Max, and I realized that the title, here we're bringing it all back. That's the video game girl. Genius. I don't know if genius yet, but
Short for Maxine.
Again,
But nobody calls her that.
The kids are a little too intuitive immediately, like, Max. MADMAX. Remember that high score name on the arcade? That must be her.
Maybe not, though. You know, you got to think they're small, not small little minds, but, you know, they're small
town
focus.
Yeah.
They are like still fucked up. They probably haven't slept since they found out somebody beat their high score in Dig Dug. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And so the first time they hear that name, it's going to just resonate profoundly with them. Max, where were you last night? You know, like I totally believe that.
You know, Dustin was laying at home in the middle of the night. He's like in bed. You can hear the crickets chirping, and then Dustin just goes,
Just rubbing his new teeth.
he's just like, God damn it, MADMAX, fucking Dig Dug. It's my high score. MADMAX.
Mom wouldn't even let me see that movie. I don't even get the reference.
He's like standing in the rain outside the arcade.
What could have been?
Then we cut to Joyce still working for Donald, which again I was a little disappointed in.
I was disappointed we could see Donald. I want to see Donald.
Like she came back, we can assume, and she's just like got 2 cigarettes left, and she's like, "Hey Donald, Will's back, so I'm gonna go back to work now." And he's like, "You know, you owe me like 3 weeks' pay, so you're not gonna get a check for a while."
You better be working, Joyce, and not sucking face with your new boyfriend in the back closet. I know you're doing it, Joyce.
Samwise was going ham on the Joyce.
Oh my God.
Wow. We're like teenagers, you know. But she's kind of resisting. I got a weird vibe. Seeing old Samwise. Why are you being quiet,
I don't
Steve?
know. She seemed into it.
Yeah, she was happy flustered.
She was very happy flustered. She just
Happy
wanted to get back
flustered.
to work. Didn't want to get caught boning in the shit.
He's like, I don't like orange pumpkins. I'm going to see some more flesh-colored
That
pumpkins.
caught me
know what I
by
mean?
surprise. I want pumpkins with nipples on them. I'm talking about boobs. 'Cause that's the kind of game I imagine Bob the Brain has.
Yeah, he does.
That's not me. I'm in character there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just be clear about that. So yeah, Sean Astin dates Winona Ryder. Who knew? That's wonderful.
It's awesome.
And apparently he's a gentleman from high school that she didn't really know that well, but Hopper has less than fond memories of. Probably colored by his jealousy, of course.
I feel like Bob was probably the Will of his school.
For sure. So then we cut to Hopper investigating the rotten pumpkin patch, and the Merrill thinks his neighbor Eugene poisoned all the pumpkins on Halloween night.
Sweet old Eugene.
Sweet old Eugene. And you know I'm not quick to with the accusations there, Hop, but what else could it be? A million things, sir. So what the hell's going on with those pumpkins, guys? Do you think the upside down infection has some effect on the crops?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we talked about in season 1 how like it kind of looks like an infection, like just the visual aesthetics of how they portray the upside down in the areas surrounding the gates. And in this one, it's like now they're actually treating it like an infection, like it is something that's spreading. It's affecting the crops first, and next it's going to be the water, and then the food.
And then later we get that flamethrower gentleman in Hawkins' lab at the gate. And it looks like things are like beginning to grow from the gate, and they're trying to keep them at bay.
Yeah, just like take a
With
fucking
flames.
flamethrower to it.
I know. I picture some guy clocking in and like a whole long take of him going down the hall and packing his lunch away in his locker. I think that's his job every day.
Just flames for like a good half hour, and he's
he
like,
was-
all right, I'm leaving, guys. Good day.
He was very nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
He was like, "Is it my turn again?" Yeah.
Must be Tuesday.
So Hop didn't seem to have any idea. But then he goes into the cornfield. Somebody was watching them. Is that what
Something
the
was
impression
in
we were
there,
supposed to get?
yeah.
And they only found a scarecrow. So that's like question number 4. Who was watching Hopper? Who was watching Hopper?
Who
then
hops the
It was the
hop man?
three-eyed raven.
We cut to Jonathan. Charlie Heaton, my boy's back, and Nancy's still his friend. He's been thoroughly friend zoned. We can verify here.
Is he back in school?
He's back in school. And
impressive.
she's walking down the hall. She's trying to get him to go to a party so he can get sheet-faced with him.
I love that. Come and get sheet-faced.
That was a very good flyer. If I'd have went to that party, I probably wouldn't have been invited to.
I didn't
but-
really like that tagline, though. Like, I get it. It sounds funny, but when I hear sheet face, I think, are they going to a Klan rally?
Yeah. That's
Hawkins, Indiana, maybe.
that's very true. So, did anyone else think
I invite everyone but Lucas's family.
oh my God. But I get it. So I love Nancy. She's a very sweet lady, and apparently she just has strong feelings for Steve, a little bit stronger than that of hers for Jonathan. And I know that Steve's like actually really cool, and he's cool with Jonathan and how he feels, but you don't just run up and like gorilla grab the girl in the middle of a conversation with her friend who you know loves her, and then just suck face a foot away. That's rude, even if you don't love somebody. You know what I mean?
Even if there's not a weird possible love triangle.
Andy doesn't love my wife, I don't think. And if they were talking and I came up and snatched her and was like, that would be rude. So I don't know. I was a little turned off by that.
That's like a petty high school thing. I think he knew very much what he was doing. You know, like,
You think? Like,
hey, friend zone.
Mine.
You know,
Mine. Like one of those.
I don't know. It didn't even seem like he acknowledged Jonathan was there. He was just. I took it more as Steve is very much infatuated with Nancy.
Yeah.
Like very, very much. And so it was just kind of like, I'm so happy to see you. Blah. The world doesn't matter beyond our mouths. And yeah.
And then she was like,
All right.
"You're right." Oh wait, where'd he go? And he's just bucking it.
Where'd Jaybird go? I felt
Jaybird
so bad
was
for
on the
Jaybird in
prowl.
that moment. That shot of him walking away, I was like, how can you be so mean to the bird?
dare you,
How dare you do that to Jaybird?
sir?
Then we cut to the boys are on the hunt for MADMAX, just trailing her, and she's apparently a little too crafty for them. So they think they're following her unawares, tailing her like just the little detectives that they are. And she throws something away, which they think could be a clue. For some reason, I missed.
They come running up to the garbage can.
Ugh. But they're kind of infatuated with her.
Girl paper.
As much as they're a little angry with her, they're like, girl paper. They're kind of in love with the idea of her, like a girl that plays video games, and which in the 80s, this is very backwards time. So they hilariously try to root through the trash can and then hide it from everyone, which is
For
very
some
cute.
reason, it wasn't sitting right on top.
Yeah, well, whoever was it, Dustin that was grabbing at it.
Yeah.
He's not the brightest kid.
Yeah.
Actually, he's very smart. I don't know what was going on there. He's probably found some other things. Oh, candy. Wait, focus.
Focus.
So then they read very slow, though. I'm disappointed in the boys. I know it's...
Stop
I mean-
watching me, you crepes.
Because, as the audience, we read it all immediately, like adults. And then we cut to them struggling to read it and not finding out what it says till the end. And it's like 6 words. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
The line whenever I go back and watch this episode with my wife, when the line where he's like, girls don't play video games, that's going to trigger her so hard.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because
Just remind her that it's 1984.
She's a huge gamer. Whenever we play games together online, and if we play with strangers, there's always that one dude who's like, are you a girl? Are you playing games? And she was like, fucking little bitch, I can play better than you, little tiny little dick. She gets really gangster on him.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
she's hood. That sounds awesome.
But I love I love the boys. Like the whole episode, whenever the 4 boys are together, they crack me up. Just the way they kind of get excited about things or try to play off that they're being like, they try to play off being cool that they're rummaging through the trash.
Yeah, Lucas is awesome now that he's not so upset about 11.
Yeah.
He's just got a lot of charisma.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Dustin are actually kind of the buddies this year because
Yeah.
Mike's still very much mourning 11. Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I think the comedy between the charisma between the boys is on point.
Doesn't Mike even do like not a wink and a gun, but just a gun to the girls when they walk by with their
I
rummaging?
noticed
think
that.
Mike does a weird thing where he's like, hey,
Not in the trash can.
I'm not the one looking through the trash. It's D-Dog over there.
I'm trying to get him out. You know how he is. He's probably found some chocolate pudding.
I love that they acknowledge the fact that Dustin has finally grown teeth. And he's like, you're not going to be able to resist these pearly whites.
Relentlessly.
These pearlies."
He's so
Yeah.
stoked about it.
What's that noise? What's that noise he makes? He does like a that's right. He purrs.
Does like the purr, which reminds me of the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz, the way he does it. I don't know. Then we go to Joyce and Will. She takes him to the doctor. So I guess he's seeing...
At Hawkins' lab.
I know. What's wrong with her?
That blew my mind.
What's wrong with her?
That they were at Hawkins' lab. I'm like, why would you go back there?
I don't understand. Can somebody explain to me
Will
what's
has to
going
do like the walk of shame too. It's like, oh, we know where you're going. You know what I mean?
on? I don't even... Yeah, so the kids are like, is he okay? He's always like that before he goes. But why would she take him to Hawkins' lab to have psychiatry tests? And
I got the feeling that was Hop's doing because he's there, and
that I also wrote that down. Like, why the fuck is Hop there?
Like, I got the feeling that he's always there. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And this is probably like a part of that shady deal that he made.
Were they trying to make
at
sure
the
that
end
the
of,
radiation
season
hasn't
1?
reached a point, or is what explanation can we have for?
Well, it's probably like they're going to tell her that they're just making sure that Will's okay and that he's acclimating back to society. But knowing them, it's probably a more nefarious...
They're surely studying him, at least.
A nefarious scheme where they're either studying him for just whatever reason, but they're clearly doing something else that he's tied to.
Absolutely.
And they want to keep their thumb on him.
Paul Reiser works for Hawkins' lab.
I love Paul Reiser.
And he's down and dirty. He goes down the same elevator shaft. I was very happy to see that elevator shaft.
Yeah, I know,
I
right?
just pictured him getting snatched up in it. Like, yes, do it. So yeah, we got some weird goings on there.
I do like how Upside Down is part of the lexicon now, and because Paul Reiser goes like, "Was this in the Upside Down?" or something like that.
That's what confused me, but I guess you're right that I just didn't know why they were being so open with the doctor, and I couldn't tell at first that he was more than a normal psychiatrist, and maybe was referring to the Upside Down metaphorically. Was this Upside Down you're referring to, Will? It could have been played that way as well, but
Right.
obviously
That's
they're
what Will
aware of the
calls it.
supernatural parts. Yeah.
It could also be just because if Joyce does want her boy to have help, they're really the only people that have any sort of knowledge at all. So it's one of those weird things where, like, I'm not going to trust you, but no one else knows anything about this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's
I guess,
why
but
Hop's
I
there.
also kind of feel like they should get the fuck out of that town after everything they've been through. I mean, obviously the kids probably couldn't convince their parents, but Joyce and her family could,
I get the feeling that Joyce and her family's not well off enough to just up and move, though.
Sure. Maybe with Hop's help, he can get a job anywhere as a sheriff,
Sure.
She had to go with Bob the Brain, and Bob the Brain's kind of wealthy, I think, right? Because he's in those
Yeah.
electronics.
He's got that brain.
Hop is not happy for Bob. Did anybody get
Those
that impression?
Electronic thingamajigs that he sells.
Thingamajiggies.
Oh, I forgot the E's.
Yeah, Hop is not a fan of old Bob the Brain. He looks a little jealous that he's with Joyce. What do you think about the
I think he's happy for her
friend
on the
zoning
inside.
cuckolding that's going on here? I love it because it's very much against convention and helps the believability of everything that's going on, that Hopper does not end up with Joyce and that Jonathan does not end up with Nancy.
For a second, I thought you were like, I love cuckolding.
That's a different story. It's none of your damn business, Steve.
It's because you're a globalist cuck. I knew it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that, like, it's like any soap opera or whatever. Like, you can't have the two leads fall in love and live happily ever after at the end of episode 3. You know what I mean? Like,
So you think that Jonathan will end up with Nancy and Hop will end up with Joyce?
I think that Jonathan will end up with Nancy. I don't know about Hop and Joyce.
Here's a prediction I want to make right now. Very sad.
Hot take.
Hot take. I think a seminal character will die this season.
Hopper.
No.
That's what I think.
No.
He's the most dispensable of them.
No. No. I think
It's going to be Jaybird.
I consider Jaybird, but that'd be mean to Joyce.
Too young. Plot armor.
He's not too young.
He's not too young.
He's not too young.
He could probably vote.
Say it again.
Too young.
He's not too young. I don't know who's going to die, but I know a seminal character. You know what I think?
Mustache.
Here's my
cop.
guess. You're way the fuck off.
God willing.
Steve dies.
Oh, wouldn't that be
yeah.
sad and tragic?
And convenient for Jaybird.
Except that's a lot of mourning for Nancy. Justice for Steve.
Don't be friends with Nancy. That's
Yeah.
just...
But yeah, I think Steve could die. He's way too heroic last year. Now we love him. But he's Hopper would be too much, but Steve would be the right amount of pain.
What about both of them? They're like back to back.
And he's a
fighting away
masochist.
The Demogorgon.
The Demogorgon rules Hawkins, and it's over.
I don't think Joyce and Hopper are... I don't think there is a romantic angle with
You're
those two.
full of duty.
I don't think there is.
Seriously?
No.
You're not seeing any sparks there?
No.
Brotherly, sisterly, platonic love to you?
I mean, I could see maybe like a
Call him
genuine...
naive Steve.
I could see a genuine care for
Nice, Steve.
an individual or a friend that you've been through a harrowing experience with, but I don't see Hopper wanting to explore that avenue, and definitely don't think Joyce
Let me
wants to
paint a
explore
little
that
picture
avenue.
for you here, Steve.
Show me them paints. Show me them love paints.
Getting out my canvas. Hopper, who we know loves the ladies, right? Can I get a holler from the librarian?
What are you doing back there?
Winona Ryder, right? Canon that she is a beautiful woman, right? Am I wrong?
Indeed.
You're not wrong, Chris.
Indubitably.
Therefore, guy loves women. Woman who is awesome, hanging out all the time. He wants it. I mean, that was poorly phrased evidence, but you get what I'm getting at.
So you're saying that the evidence you're providing that Hop wants it is merely that Joyce is a lady.
All right, we're not going to hang that painting in the Louvre necessarily.
You're not wrong. However, no, I mean, he's very lonely. He's divorcee. Mm-hmm. Is that how you say that? Is it for the guy? He's divorced.
Yeah. Divorcee.
He's divorced.
Divorcee.
And you know, I think it's obvious in how much he's like knocking Bob, like Bob the Brain.
I thought the Bob
tubby
the Brain
bubby
thing was just more of a like Hopper ex jock person who used to make fun of Nerd Boy. And it's like,
Right,
oh, Bob the
because
Brain.
he's
Oh, sorry,
got-
I made fun of. I didn't mean to make fun of grown up man.
He's
Old
got
habits.
the chick that I want that should be with me. I saved her, and I had the machine gun, and the boy. I pounded on his chest. I laid all my cards out. You know.
I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting read. We'll see. We'll see how it develops. Steve. Same elevator. Already said that. So we cut back to another view of MADMAX there. She's dropped off from the whatever hot rod that is. If you can write into streamingthingspod@gmail.com with what kind of car that was.
Speed Racer.
She's arguing with her, I assume it's her older brother. She goes into the arcade, and they spot for a fact that is the MADMAX, who's amazing at Dig Dug. And Lucas and Dustin seem to fall in love immediately. They just collapse and slide down the wall, eyes with stars floating around them, metaphorically. And then we cut to Steve and Nancy at dinner with who turns out to be Barb's parents, eating KFC. Which is something that apparently Nancy does on a regular basis, which is very kind of her to help them grieve and make sure that they're not lonely. Their house is for sale, and they seem bizarrely upbeat because they have hired Mr. Murray Bauman. We find out that's why he's there, and they think that he's going to be able to locate their daughter Barb, I guess, alive.
Yeah, I wonder, like, because Nancy knows Barb's dead.
Right,
at this
which is
point.
why that scene was very affecting.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck, this is awkward.
And so I'm just wondering if, like, she knows, or if she's not allowed to say anything either. You know what I mean?
I mean,
like,
she can't. What would she say?
Yeah, I guess.
So there's this like vagina in the wall. Okay, let me start over. There's one in a tree. Wait. Okay. We killed a deer. No, you know, like where do you start? He was taking pictures of me naked because I was banging Steve. And Barb was outside because she was trying to shotgun a beer and cut her hand. You know what?
Barb was drinking?
I'm just going to go home. It's good chicken. Like, what are you saying? Steve, how would you phrase it if you were Nancy?
If I was Nancy,
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, so
Gone.
she's dead.
I can't tell you why or how.
Can't
It
tell you
wasn't
why
me.
or how.
Wasn't me. Wasn't Steve.
It was some sort of animal, some sort of creature.
It was Carol.
It wasn't it was Carol, yeah. You should look into Tommy H and Carol.
Yeah, you investigate them. So it's very sad because Nancy, you know, we're seeing the struggle on her face, and Steve's. I couldn't believe it worked. Steve is comic relief there, which is interesting because he's always gotten flack for being insensitive around Barb's dead areas of the show and the plot, right?
Yeah.
You want to go see a movie? So she, like, I'm just all in for the fact that she knows Barb's dead, listening to her parents. She has to go to the bathroom and cry. She sees the picture of Barb and it's awful. And then Steve's like, it's finger looking good, you know? And I actually laughed and
Yep.
it worked. And I'm like, why? That's awful. But go, you got me. Keep going, Duffer.
I mean, Barb's dad looked like a man who really enjoyed KFC.
He did. He looked like Uncle Vernon from Harry Potter a little
He
bit.
did.
I mean, he's not wrong to really enjoy KFC because that shit's delicious, but
It is finger licking good.
That was a slogan that came later. That's why that's funny, right?
I'm sure they had that slogan by then in the 80s.
1984?
Oh, for
You
sure.
think so?
I would imagine.
I wasn't alive. I don't know.
Does Steve know that Barb's dead?
I would imagine we can
Yeah.
assume that they've all disclosed everything with one another. That anybody that was at the event, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would assume.
Fair enough.
She's not going to be like, I mean, you basically killed the thing, but I can't tell you what happened in there.
We did find out that they're selling their house explicitly so that they could have enough money to pay.
I know, that's so
Murray.
sad, which is
And
pointless.
and it's a callback because earlier in the episode when he's in the office with Hopper's like, quit bleeding those people dry.
Yeah.
And he's referring to
and I thought I had missed something.
Barb's family. So this guy is like charging them probably a pretty penny.
Oh yeah, like $50 an hour back in the 80s or something.
Yeah, pretty penny to sling conspiracy theories about Russian invasions and all that nonsense.
I'm mad at Murray for them. Suddenly I'm upset.
I get a Walter Peck vibe from
Murray's
that
going
guy.
to get a comeuppance. I think he's going to investigate the wrong area at some point for sure.
He's
Get
an
snatched up in the elevator.
investigative journalist. How much
I know,
could
he's
he
not like a-
possibly charge an hour?
He's not like a PI. Apparently he's very expensive.
Yeah.
He used to work for the Chicago Times.
Andy, he's very well known. I love that line by Barb's dad, by the way, when he like gives him the business, because like, Murray Bauman, he used to work with the Suns, and Steve's like, I've never heard of him. He's very well known.
He's like, you're dumb. That's why. We cut back to Mike. He gets in trouble. I kind of missed what was going on here. So what's he in trouble with Ted and Karen about?
Well,
strike 20.
he's just been rebelling, and I think it's
Is it because of the piggy bank thing?
That's
well, that's
the
part
latest,
of it,
yeah.
but it's manifestations
Okay.
of him being upset that Eleven's gone. So
no, for sure.
he's like acting out at school. He's graffitiing the bathroom stall, and he's robbing banks with Callie.
Yeah. So we get this hilarious exchange with Ted in a pathetic effort to be a father. And I love the look on Mike's face where he's like, what does he say?
He says, "This isn't strike 3. This is strike 20.
You're benched.
You wouldn't even be on the team if it was my coach."
And then Mike's like, the fuck does that mean? You're going to kill me?
Yeah,
that doesn't
his
apply.
reaction's so perfect. I wish we could get that in GIF form and
I'm
just
telling you,
pop it up
Steve.
every time there's a Ted moment.
You should be writing down what you're going to be doing later. Giffen.
Ted.
G-I-F-N.
I have to say because this I threw up the Donald
Gift
Trump
tag.
AOK fist there. I have to say this is kind of spurned on by Mike's parents saying like, all right, you got to pick out half of your toys to throw in the yard sale, and Mike's like, I don't want to throw half my toys away. They're very sentimental to me, and they're like, grow up, kid. That whole time, because I'm a toy collector. When they said that, I was like, you fucking monsters.
Yeah, like, what is the point of that?
You're requiring your child to give up half his toys?
Yeah.
You monsters. No.
But it made for a good scene.
It did.
Because then we cut to
maniacs.
Mike discarding relics of his past, of his childhood, is what I took from it. Trying to pick and choose what he was willing to let go of. Mm-hmm. And then we get that sidelong, the pan, with the gaze toward the Shrine 011. And not only is he not willing to give that up, but he wants to go and give it another shot. Mm-hmm. We realize how obsessed with 11 he is. He says, day 352, 7:20 p.m. 11, are you there? So he does it every day. He's done it 352 times, probably multiple times a day since he mentioned the time. Mm-hmm. And it was just heartbreaking,
Yeah, it was.
But awesome
Did you notice the toys that he saved?
Never gonna give you up.
Day 352, Snowball was 286 days ago.
I
didn't go.
It would have to be at least. Oh, I get what you're saying. He was saying it was coming up. You did a good math there, buddy.
Thanks, man.
The Millennium Falcon, he didn't give up.
He also didn't give up the dinosaur, the T-Rex. That's one of the first toys he shows 11 when they stay home from school that day.
Everything she's touched.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Meta ego.
Good
It's a
eye,
mego.
Steve. Good eye, Steve. You're redeemed for your naivete. And then we're back to Jonathan, very much taking the bullying to heart, drawing his own much better zombie boy. Will. And then Jonathan comes in to spot his, who's zombie boy? It's me. I'm a zombie boy.
Self-portrait.
We get this exchange between Jonathan and Will. It's pretty heartening. I also wasn't always bought into this moment very much. Mm-mm. You weren't either, Andy?
Not terribly.
Not Charlie Heaton's best.
Not Charlie Heaton's best. Not the kid that plays Will's best. What is his name?
His name is obvious, Andy, and I'm just kind of angry that you don't know it. It's taken me a really long time to recover and how
Noah
fucking
something.
yeah.
Good old Noah something.
Will Byers, Noah Schnapp.
Noah Schnapp.
Snap.
Schnapp.
I don't know. It was just like
I thought his performance was actually heightened there.
I just wasn't sure how I felt about the moment. You know what I mean? Like I guess the frustration makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it was just Jonathan's performance of it that didn't pan.
Yeah, I really liked
track for
Noah's.
me.
I thought it was up a par from what I usually see from him, but Charlie's was down. What do you think, Steve?
I love this scene.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the idea of the brother, the bigger brother, kind of telling him you're not a freak, but then Will kind of turns that around on him. It's like, you don't have any friends. He's like,
I know,
you're my
that's what was
best
so
friend.
sad about it.
And that is sad, but it's also like I found it really endearing. Like this older brother's like willing to admit, like, well, you're my best friend, okay?
Yeah.
And he's clearly Will wants people to forget that something bad happened to him. He wants to be normal, but Charlie Heaton's Jaybird is still aggressively holding on to his brother. He doesn't want to let him go. And I find that really endearing. And also there's that exchange at the very end where they're like, who would you rather hang out with? Or who would you want to be your best friend? David
great.
Bowie or Kenny Rogers? And they're both like, ugh. Duh.
That's right. It's obvious, right?
It's obvious, right? And then Bob the Brain comes along, I love Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers, you guys what, jamming? You know?
And that scene, I think
Mr. Mom.
And I'm endeared to them even more because they love David Bowie so much.
Right.
So
I think it's funny in that scene that Will's referring to himself as a freak. He's like, I'm a freak. And then Jonathan's like, you know what? You are a freak. So am I. And it's like, dude, that's like, you know, trying to ingratiate yourself into it. Like, I listen to alternative music. And Will's sitting there like, I got pulled into alien land and got trapped there for a week. Like, we're not on the same level
Alien
here.
land.
Yeah. I take pictures in the dark.
But Jaybird is pretentious. So,
That's very true.
yeah.
You're probably going to be home listening to the Talking Heads fucking
and reading Vonnegut. Yeah.
I like Vonnegut, by the way. So yeah, then we cut to the living room where Mr. Mom has been chosen for viewing.
Fantastic.
The boys do not appear to be loving it. Joyce appears to be like loving it because Bob's loving it so much.
Dude, Bob loves Mr. Mom.
No. She's like, this is great.
Mr. Mom, woo!
Jonathan, you picked a doozy. This is great.
He's such a stepdad, but like a well-meaning one, not
Yeah,
like a
like a
shitty,
good stepdad.
Yeah, not like a beat you guy or like a Ted guy. Ted's not a stepdad, but I mean he's like the worst nightmare of stepdad.
He's the stepdad of real dads.
Yes. He's the dad you assume must be actually a stepdad. The phone rings, so we get like question number 5. Who is calling, and why is Joyce so terrified of it?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
obviously,
really
that's the
weird.
same phone, I guess. I've got the idea that she like had PTSD too. Didn't get a whole lot of phone calls because they have a pretty tight little family who don't have friends. The only person that probably calls her is in the room, Bob, right? Unless it's Hopper or something.
And usually when he calls, he's like, get out of the house.
Because they framed it the exact same way as when she used to sit in that chair with the lamps and shit and stare at the phone. So that's the immediate vibe I got. It was just like a Joyce also has PTSD from that whole scenario. But who the fuck is calling? Because it's late. It's the 80s. You only got one phone line. You typically don't call at that hour.
That's Blockbuster. They're wondering if they could return their tapes and rewound.
I'm sorry, you have rented Mr. Mom 47 times. And so yeah, anyway, I guess we don't have an answer for that yet, but just keep on thinking about that, dear listener. And then we get to Hop's new house.
Hop's new house.
In a long take with a slight minimal reveal.
Steps over the tripwire. That has the knocking code.
Didn't something huge happen or something though? Like after that, or just end?
Yeah, I think that he made dinner.
He was making. Oh, he was eating the fucking pancakes.
Pancake.
Was it a pancake
Was it
there,
pancake?
Steve?
Egg.
Muffin.
Are we dragging this out? Listen, it was 11. She's back and she's got hair
Guess who's back?
on her head.
Back again. 11's
No,
back.
she no longer looks like Eminem.
Tell a friend.
That was wonderful. Andy, you seemed underwhelmed. You said, "What? Do you want to talk about it? How are you feeling sad about it? You want to talk about it?"
It was there wasn't a ton of fanfare for 11 coming back. I mean, we knew from the trailers and just common sense that 11 was coming back as soon as they announced season 2. She's got the thickest plot armor of all time. But I feel like the second you see Hopper walking up to a secluded house that is not his trailer, it's like, oh, he's keeping 11 there, cool. And then it's like this slow pan down to the table, and there's an Eggo. It's like, okay, I knew that about 20 seconds ago.
You knew that as soon as you saw the cabin?
Oh yeah, immediately. Yeah, I mean, he stepped over a tripwire. It's like, it's very clear he's trying to keep this place hidden, and yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
I liked it. I liked that it wasn't. I kind of like that it was kind of little fanfare, because it was just kind of the lack of fanfare was a bigger surprise for me than if they had done fanfare. Only because I was actually kind of bummed, because like you mentioned, we were watching it on subtitles, and there's a point where he walks into the house, you don't see anybody. She calls to him from the other room, and it says clearly on the subtitles, 11.
815.
Hey, are you here? Yeah, 815. And I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to see her.
Yeah.
I wanted to I was in the same boat as Andy. I knew it was probably going to be 11, but just having that subtitle pop up and like, this is what it is. Like, that was kind of like,
the killer. You know what I mean?
Should we turn them off next time?
No, because that kind of helps with the new characters, like who they are.
Yeah.
At least for me. Yeah. Keith. I didn't even catch that one.
I'll talk about this moment, my view of it, in the next segment. But for new listeners, you can take this moment to subscribe, rate, and review before we get to our 2 most sought-after segments in the show. And also, we have a little contest going on until November 1st. This should air by October 28th, so you'll still have 3 or 4 days. Math's a little rough there. We have if you screenshot the rating and review and send it to streamingthingspod@gmail.com, you are entered to win automatically, by virtue of that action, $100 Amazon gift card, which you can
100
spend
bones.
any way you choose. How many bones?
100.
I say, how many bones?
100.
$100.
100 bones.
$100
100 greenbacks.
Amazon gift card, just for doing that. Very simple task, and we would very, very much appreciate that. Andy, what is our very next segment on this show?
Well, I guess we can't do will call anymore. Isn't that sad?
No. Will call is a retired segment.
Just don't look back in anger. Our next section,
anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Our next section is chocolate pudding. It's where we choose our favorite scenes of the episode. Go round, pick our top 3. Steve, what was your number 3?
My number 3 is the reveal of 8. Starting off strong. It's a great way to open the show. It's very different. That scene where they're robbing the bank at the very beginning. It's such a different feel than Stranger Things. In fact, if I didn't know we were watching Stranger Things, I wouldn't have assumed that's what we were watching at the top of the show.
It's so weird to see it in a big city.
It's in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it pans down to a big city. I was immediately like, oh, what's this?
Chris, you picked the wrong show, you stupid fuck.
This isn't Hawkins.
We're reviewing like Meyerowitz stories. So 11 turned into Adam Sandler. I guess they recast it.
He's got short hair. It works. But yeah, it was neat to see like this diverse group of characters that had like a cool, like getaway, as cool as a getaway van could be. I mean, it's a van, but it was cool to see them all driving there. It's a diverse group of people of different ages and races and sexes, and it was cool. And the badass Callie, or number 8, as we learned, using her psychic abilities. I mean, that's just a cool way to kind of set up the tone for the series and kind of immediately make the viewer go,
much like Scooby-Doo, who looks like he should be in that van.
He really does. Scooby-Doo. The dude with the mohawk could be Shaggy.
Scoob! Like, Callie, do something. That was a horrible, horrible Shaggy. Anyway, Andy, you're number 3.
Let's see. My number 3 would have to be, I called it the Justice for Barb scene. When Nancy and Steve go to visit Barb's parents. Just because it was heartbreaking to see Barb's parents and, like the false hope that they've given themselves in order to believe that their daughter's not dead, even though it's been a year at this point.
Right.
Which is really, really sad. And Steve's little KFC line was awesome comic relief, but what really did the scene for me was Nancy having to step away, go to the bathroom, and like just sort of break down, because she's still not over it. Her best friend's dead, and she's having to sit there, keep a straight face, and lie to her friend's parents about like,
She still has
keep
a lot of guilt for
keep
that,
fighting
too.
the good fight.
I can't help but have it pissed on a little bit, knowing that they probably wrote this entire plot thread in due to fan reactions to Justice for Barb.
I wondered about that. I had that same thought because as soon as it like they did the interior shots of the house and there's like 18 pictures of Barb sitting there.
It's like excessive amount of photo frames.
Right. No, well, that was my initial reaction. Like, wow, this is literally the Justice for Barb scene.
Yeah.
But then I thought of like Nancy's.
It does make sense for her character.
Like her bittersweet Will reunion moment when she like has
Wanted
to
fuck Steve.
Yeah, when she had to take a step away. Reference to an earlier episode, if you guys didn't get that. When she had to, her face kind of falls. She has to step away for a moment. Like, she's going to be affected probably worse than anybody else in this series, except for maybe Will. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Okay, I get it.
If this whole scene is in reaction to the Justice for Barb outcry, I'm very interested to see where it goes, just because the character of Murray seems like he has a role to play in the course of the story.
Right.
For this season.
Yeah.
They wove it deep because everybody's love was deep for Barb. So, I mean, it just sounds condescending, but I'm 100% sure that, since they wrote it since the end of the season, that this is a result of that. And they I know that they were utterly shocked by the reception for Barb. Mm-hmm. And I'm very shocked and pleased that it's taken such a large chunk of what appears to be the plot. But
What's your number 3?
my number 3 was the premiere of Mr. Clark. That whole scene, the arrival of Max. I love Mr. Clark through and through. He's a wonderful man. Steve wants to have sex with Mr. Clark, I think.
He can get it.
He can apparently get it. I think it is Steve's penis. I love that. And we see the boys that fall in love with a girl and not just Mike, because Mike's kind of, if you notice, left out of the chase for Maxine.
Oh yeah.
So because he's hung up on 11,
He's taken, ladies.
Yeah, right. But then we get this Lucas and Dustin vying for Max's attention, which is pretty awesome. So anyway, that just got a lot of joy for me. Steve, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is, I know you guys hated it, but it's the scene with Jay Bird and Will.
Hey, man. I didn't hate it.
I don't know. I really, really felt endeared in that moment. Just the way Jonathan and Will were, interacting, and then that last David Bowie line. I don't know.
You're just a big Bowie fan, aren't you?
I wish my brothers talked to me like that.
Andy, what was your number 2?
My number 2 was the intro to Maxine. I love Mr. Clark, the whole drum roll thing, the little girl with the Foley wish thing really did it for me, because they again, the Duffer Brothers showed this amazing ability to remember what it's like to be a kid, and like the passing notes thing and the vacant expressions and stuff like that. Now that's pretty obvious stuff to do if you're going to do a kid's middle school, high school character thing, but it just the excitement that Mr. Clark had when he's introducing this new character. She tries to just walk by it, he's like, oh no, you're not getting off that easy. He knows he's a dweeb, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So he's like, he kind of hams it up a little bit, and then he's got his 3 favorite students sitting up front, and he's like, Dustin, drum roll, I don't know, it's just an endearing character moment.
My number 2 was the unveiling of 8, or Callie, purely for what that entails and how much we had all been speculating for the past year, and we came, to a general consensus, like it's got to be about, 1 through 10 in some form or another, and just to be vindicated right off the bat. And it was symbolic of how much bigger the story is about to get, this big city that everything's taking place in, we need room to grow for how much more plot. This is not that the story is going to take place in Pittsburgh, but just the scope of that sequence is kind of like the scope of this, the 2, how much 2 we're about to get. So I was just very excited.
What if they had made her 2 instead of 8?
Been a little corny. I would have went with 9 or 6, but anywho. Joyce is 6 though, right, Andy?
Yeah, that'd be awesome if she was.
Steve, you're number 1.
My number 1 is the reveal of 11. I'm such a fanboy for 11. So even if I saw it coming a mile away, just like you did, Andy, I still was just like, I want to see her. I want to see her. I want to see her. Where is she? What's the hair situation, right. Andy? What is the hair situation on 11?
I love her hair so much.
I know, it's curly and she's got overalls. It's so adorable. But I love that scene because it shows that Hopper is taking care of her. She's still around. She's learned. She's got quite a larger vocabulary since the last time we saw her. She actually strung together a sentence or two. And also just the visual of Hopper with a quote unquote daughter at the end is just if we just watched the series or season finale of season 1 a couple days ago. So going into this fresh, it kind of really hammered home like, oh man, that's why Hopper's taking care of her. That's so perfect. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
But it's
Sarah.
so perfect.
That's his new Sarah.
And I'm excited to see where their relationship goes over the course of the season. So, yeah, that's my
Absolutely.
number 1.
Andy, what is your number 1?
My number 1 is got to be the opening introducing Callie, number 8. That was a plot thread that I was really hoping that they would do for this season because it made so much sense to give us an evil 11. And I was super not disappointed. Like the fact that she can if she had just knocked down those rocks to block the bridge and prevent the cops from following them, that would have been like, oh, cool, she's an evil 11. But the fact that she implanted a vision in his head to make him swerve, like that's like, oh shit, this is 11 on a different level. This is 11 when she's like 20 and she's had some time to practice, and or maybe they have completely different abilities. But point being, this is a more powerful, evil Hawkins Labs failed experiment, and I'm super stoked to see what happens with her.
Get her backstory too. I'm just so curious. That's wonderful. My number 1 was the return of 11. Very similar reasons to Steve. Obviously, I'm a huge 11 fanboy. I mean, everybody who is a fan of the show is. But see, I think that scene, it just read way differently to me. It wasn't that it was supposed to be surprising, though I did not. I'm very tired. I'm not going to say that Andy only beats me when I'm tired as far as guessing. But I did not think 11's in there when I saw the house. I was partly because I'm taking notes, too. So I'm writing, Hop has new house.
He's doing well for himself.
I'm like, why is there a tripwire? Oh no, get out of there, Hop. Yeah. But it's not supposed to be a shock that she's there because we're waiting on her, right? But I loved the long take, the slow step over the wire, the steady cam shot that went around the house as he's setting his gun on the counter. It was very Coen Brothers, like the show Fargo.
Yeah.
It just fucking gorgeously shot, and then just ending at the table, and you see the Eggo remains, right? Which no child worth their salt would leave any piece of an Eggo left, but I got the function of it, and I was willing to stretch that. And as soon as you see the Eggo, just smile up your fucking face like, oh yeah, Hop ain't eating that Eggo. He got a new daughter. And I love that, they know that and they're dragging it out with the long take, just teasing your balls. You know what I mean?
Teasing
just
your
letting
balls.
the air from your fingers caress them before they're going to get a full grab. And I took that metaphor too far, and I apologize. But I stand by the meaning.
I wish the listener could have seen what you were doing with your hand just now.
They can imagine. So that brings us to our next segment, the Easter Eggo hunt. We hunt for all of the Easter eggs, cultural references, and homages to other stories, films, and such in the episode itself. And, of course, for many reasons, really one more important reason, we call them Eggos, Easter Eggos. So I think we should rattle off some low-hanging Eggos. The time of the show is kind of dragging on here. Let's do our thing, boys. Andy, start us off.
In the arcade, I saw Centipede, Dig Dug, Pac-Man, Galaga, and...
Oh, you saw Galaga?
I saw Galaga. And
I saw Galaga, too.
Also had a little neon light Pac-Man thing, which was sweet.
Right on.
Was that the Miss Pac-Man cabinet?
I don't know if it was Miss Pac-Man or not.
Oh, I saw Miss Pac-Man.
Did you?
I didn't know if that was
Right
the
on.
same one that you saw.
Steve.
Oh, and Dragon's Lair, obviously.
Dragon's Lair, air hockey.
Air hockey.
Who doesn't love air hockey? That's got to
I
be at
still
an
play
arcade.
it, but I never knew what Dragon's Lair was. Didn't look like much actual game to that game. It was very cutscene-y.
Yeah.
I actually
it's-
didn't know that they did.
It's like a quick time event game, sort of.
Yeah, I didn't know they had a Dragon's Lair cabinet.
I didn't either.
I never knew that was a cabinet game. I thought that was just like a PC or.
You know the Duffers don't make shit up.
No, clearly. I mean, gospel. That is their
Gospel.
word.
There you go again, Steve, being naive.
I love. We had since I'll do the songs that I picked up. We had Devo, Whip It, played a couple
Whip It
times.
good.
Got to see some "Rock You Like a Hurricane" by the Scorpions. They mentioned the Talking Heads, like we mentioned previously with Nancy talking to him. Which
yeah.
I'm just saying, I feel like Jonathan's taste in music is exactly what I listen to all the fucking time. Because every time he turns on music, I'm like, dude, Jaber, get off of my iPod. Get out of it. But Chris?
I'll just rattle off some quickies too. The Blockbuster video store is kind of a relic of the past
Yeah.
now. I mean, not necessarily an 80s thing.
That's one of those things that when we tell stories to our children, like, oh, we were at the video store renting a VHS, people are going to be like, we don't know what that is, stupid.
You old man.
What is that?
And the same with the VHS recorder that Bob the Brain had. Obviously, the MADMAX is a very low-hanging ego.
What is that referencing?
It's a movie called MADMAX, starring Mel Gibson.
Who is Max and why is he so angry?
I believe it's
there was
Tom
a-
Hardy.
Bo Derek name drop.
Yep.
And I'm also going to throw in full denim as a cheap ego.
Full
The
denim.
pants and the jacket, I think.
Canadian
and the
tuxedo.
mullet.
Andy, complicate things a little bit for us.
Okay. There is a little like I guess you can't call it a montage, but like establishing shots towards the end of the episode of like Sink and clock on the wall, and then Sink dripping, Will peeing, and then he goes outside and he sees the what I'm going to call the Tessel Hydra until they Tessel Hydra until they call it something else.
No, then we're still going to call it that.
During that series, the clock on the wall reads 105, which means both hands are pointing at the number 1. It is 11.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
105, they're not both pointing at. One of them's pointing at 5.
No, it's pointing at 1. Yes, clock. Analog clock.
Did the analog 11.
That's almost an ego nowadays, an analog clock.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, nice.
That was good, Andy.
I was even
Thanks,
looking.
man.
I'm not
Shit.
going to lie. I was even looking at the clock and just kind of was like, nope, nothing.
Well, I'll piggyback off that. This is kind of a low-hanging one, but that same scene is a callback to Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
With the door opening.
When he opens the door and all the lights are going off, that's like a complete shot remake from when the little boy gets abducted in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
And it was beautiful.
It's just beautiful. I do have a couple other super low-hanging fruit. Joyce is patching up a Ghostbusters logo. We'll probably get a
I didn't catch
ton.
that.
Yeah, it's right before she gets
Manhandled
tongued by Bob the Brain. We got
Bob was
her.
up in her brains.
There's an obvious one that I'm surprised that Chris didn't mention, but I'm gonna save it for you because I think you'll get it next time around. Obviously, we have the Millennium Falcon, KFC, Mr. Man. And
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Man.
Mr.
Mr. Man. Reagan Bush sign. And then I don't know about you guys, but when he was like going through the cornfield, I couldn't tell if that was referencing Children of the Corn or
I couldn't. I knew
I got a
it's
Signs
something.
vibe off of it, but I don't think
I
they would
did
be
too, but I was like,
referencing Signs.
definitely not doing that. But I don't know. They're huge Shyamalan fans. Remember?
Ah, that's true.
Wayward Pines.
That's one of my favorite Shyamalan movies.
It's very possible.
Scares the pee out of me.
Also, could be Scarecrow. Was that a horror movie in the 80s, or I think it's late 90s?
Scarecrow?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You never saw that one?
Jeepers Creepers. It was a Jeepers Creepers callback.
It was probably the Mr. Man and the corn.
Mr. Man.
Okay, I got a couple more low ones I might have actually made up. Obviously, Bowie and Kenny Rogers. We talked about that. Tom Cruise. I really felt like the sunglasses they picked for Steve in the high school when Nancy, her name's Natalia, when Nancy told him to take him off, that he just looked a lot like young Tom Cruise there, whom I know she's a fan of. Also, is that a fourth? Is that what you think that was? What you're pointing at right there on the notebook, Andy?
A fourth.
I'm snitching you out. Yes, I have 3 Terminator references.
Oh, wow.
So is that a fourth? Because it could
this
also
is
be
one of the obvious ones.
his glasses. You're saying?
Oh.
No, guys. I'm going to walk you through this shit here. I think the glasses are actually a fourth one. Not a Tom Cruise reference, but the Arnold Schwarzenegger glasses. I think you're right, Andy, without knowing it.
Yeah, that's so not what I
The
meant.
Terminator was on the marquee.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
at the movie theater.
Also, when Maxine's older brother steps out of the car, the boots, it's very much like Arnold Schwarzenegger after he beats up the biker and takes his clothes. And 2, Judgment Day.
I love those shots where the door opens and the foot hits the ground and then it cranes up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But he does that on a motorcycle quite often in Terminator 2. I think it was I thought it looked like his boots.
super iconic.
And then the Upside Down taking over the planet in Will's visions looks very much to me like the apocalyptic future that they cut to very rarely in the original Terminator. It's all lightning-y and crazy
see
looking.
that.
I think it was inspired by that.
Skynet shit going down.
And I think the glasses is a fourth one. I took it to be Tom Cruise, but it's actually Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice.
So I think Terminator is going to be the E.T. of this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How
there's a lot of E.T. last
E.T.
season.
was just like hardcore, one of the leaders of the pack as far as Easter egg goes for last year. And I think Terminator is going to be a huge through line for this season.
And going with E.T., that's my last Eggo. When the doctor asks Will what his favorite candy is, Will's all hesitant, and then he finally says Reese Pieces. And that was E.T.'s candy. That's
Little
what
throwback.
they
Meta
used
throwback.
to... that's a little breadcrumb
Breadcrumb? Oh my God.
breadcrumb trail.
Not a breadcrumb trail.
Going off of what you said, Andy, about E.T., one of my last ones is the shot when Hopper pulls up to his house at the very end. It's like black forest, and then all of a sudden like headlights that just kind of like zoom forward and then stop suddenly. That's very much a E.T. shot from when E.T.'s running through the woods and all these cars are just like driving in the forest somehow and stopping, and they got their headlights on full blast. That's a very E.T. shot. And then my last Eggo, I think Paul Reiser himself is an Eggo. Because
Very true.
his character, I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
Like Sean Astin is too.
Yeah,
man.
straight up.
Well, I mean, like Paul Reiser himself, his character is almost exactly like his character in Aliens. That's like the same thing where it's
Yeah.
like corporate guy, more scientist-like guy who shows up. He's like, you can trust me. I'm a friendly face. I'm on your side, but he's actually doing some more malicious deeds, possibly.
Yeah.
He's a real stinker, is what I'm trying to say.
I think I have another one, but I might be making it up because I haven't seen it. You've seen The Warriors more recently than I have, I would imagine.
No, I don't know. It's been like 10 years since I've seen Warriors.
Did you think the opening sequence was a Warriors vibe?
I get a Warriors vibe from that little band. Yeah.
I did definitely when they took the masks off, and it was all the haphazardness of their clothing, and I don't know. I thought I'm going to call it a Warriors reference because we know from the trailer there's more.
I want Paul Reiser later in the series to be like, Callie, come out and play.
Can
Clinking
you
bottles together.
dig it?
Can you dig it?
I also wonder if there's a significance to Pittsburgh because that's a pretty far cry from Hawkins, and I just felt like maybe that's where the tax credit was for the filming, but
Because they're stealers, because they're robbing the bank.
nice. So thank you so much for listening. I promise that was pretty good, but it gets even better when we are not awake for 30 hours straight. So if you're a new listener, again, I'm sorry to belabor this, but we got some stiff competition out there. So you could subscribe, rate, and review. And remember, you can get a $100 Amazon gift card if you send all of that work in a screenshot to streamingthingspod@gmail.com.
100 clams.
Or you can just send feedback, positive or negative, to that same email address. We will be waiting to watch the rest of the show, and so we'll be tortured Steve's got a lot of gifts to make, a lot of shows to edit, so we're going to drop this in a couple hours, and then you can listen to it.
My free time.
And we'll get on to episode 2 as soon as humanly possible. Thank you so much for all of your ears. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is $1 million streaming days. Streaming days, dollars.
100 pounds.
I farted.
185. He farted, that's right. He's a staker. I think it was title. I don't know if he
You can hear it on the mic, I'm pretty sure.
we're gonna leave that in.
You're just gonna hear us like trying to play it off.